Okay, after you've unpacked everything out of the box, then you want to plug the camera into power. And then you want to plug in your Ethernet cable. It plugs in on the bottom of the camera. The other end will plug into your router.
Okay, so now that we have our IP camera set up out of the box, we plugged it into our Ethernet cable. Now we're going to go ahead and set it up for viewing over the network. First thing we're going to do is log into our router. There. At this point, you'll be asked for your user ID and password for the router, which was established when you first set your router up. And we're going to check the DHCP client table to see what IP address has been assigned to our IP camera here. And it looks like our IP camera has been assigned an IP address of 115, and so we're just going to go ahead and copy that, and then we'll go ahead and paste that into a new tab here in the Safari browser. And you can see it takes us right to the camera. Now that we're inside the camera here, the one thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and set this up for wireless access. And the way you do that is simply log into the camera and click on the wireless tab. What's going to show you up top here is all the available networks that you can connect to. The one that we want is going to say SpyGeek. We'll just go ahead and click on SpyGeek, and it automatically populates our information into the appropriate boxes. We can see here that it's asking for a WEP key. During the initial setup of the router, you create a WEP key. And the way you find your WEP key is simply to log into your router, which we have a Cisco router, so our IP address for the router is 192.168.1.1, and that takes us to our router setup. Where you would find your WEP key is going to be under the wireless section, because that's what a WEP key is used for, is for wireless security. And then we have our wireless security tab. Now here you've created a passphrase, and for our instance it's called Ripley. And when you type in the word Ripley and hit the generate button, it's going to generate a 64-bit hexadecimal WEP key, and you can see that listed right here. Depending on what type of router you have, you're going to want to go into the wireless setup of that router and go to the security section, and you should see your WEP key listed right here. And you can change the different types of security modes. There's WPA, WPA2, there's personal and enterprise, there's radius, and then you have WEP. We're using WEP, and this again is our WEP key. Okay, now once you have your WEP key, we're just going to go ahead and copy this. We're going to then input that into our settings here in our IP camera under the wireless, and once we've located our network, which is SpyGeek, then when it's asking for your WEP key, you could simply come here and paste this into the appropriate box. We'll set it up to allow us to connect to our SpyGeek network and then continue on with our wireless setup of the IP camera. This WEP key is going to be used to connect our wireless camera to the wireless network. So we'll just type that in there, hit the test button, you can see it shows success. And now our IP address for wireless access is going to be this number here, 192.168.1.117. And we'll just go ahead and hit the OK button, and in a moment here it should go ahead and start a countdown, and at the end of the countdown it will then ask us to go ahead and unplug our Ethernet cable from the back of the IP camera, and then it should be configured totally wireless except for the power cord. Okay, now you see this message that's popped up that says please remove the LAN cable and open the IP wizard again to search again. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and unplug the LAN cable, and we're going to log back into our router and check that client table again and see if we don't have another IP address listed for the wireless card on that IP camera.
Now the computer has told us to unplug the LAN cable, which we're going to do.
Alright, now we've gone ahead and unplugged the LAN cable from the wireless camera. We're going to hit OK here. We're going to close out of this window. We're going to go back to our DHCP client table list. You can see here that we have two separate IP addresses for the AM9120M IP camera. The first one is the one we just used when we were using the Ethernet portion of the camera. And you can see another one here that says 192.168.1.120. That's going to be for the wireless adapter that's built into the IP camera. You can see they both have different MAC addresses, one for the Ethernet portion and one for the wireless adapter on that unit. So the IP address we're going to want to use is going to be the second one that just opened up here. So we'll go ahead and copy that, and then we'll go ahead and paste that into a new tab in our router, or I'm sorry, in our Safari browser. And if I hit the return key here, we go directly to our IP camera, and we are, in fact, right now set up wirelessly with that camera. And now that this is set up on our local network, we can view this from any computer that's on our local network.